Hello, my name is Cathy Holbert, and I work in the MorningStar Partner Department. This week we're going to talk about salvation. And we're going to read into some different scriptures, and then we're going to formulate a declaration and then pray that over our family. So first scripture I would like to read is 2 Corinthians 4, 3 through 4, and then verse 6. And it says, "But if our gospel is veiled, it is veiled to those who are perishing. In their case, the God of this age has blinded the minds of the unbelievers to keep them from seeing the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is the image of God. For God, who said, 'Let light shine out of darkness,' has shone in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of God's glory in the face of Jesus Christ." So in this scripture right here, it shows us that if you are an unbeliever, that there is a veil that's over your face that needs to be removed. There are like blinders over that person. It goes far as to say as the God of this age has blinded the minds of unbelievers so that they're not able to receive the truth. So we have to pray those blinders off. And then it says light needs to shine into their darkness. Mark 4, 13 through 20, it talks about how the sower goes out to sow the seed. And it's very important within this scripture what the soil of the heart is like. How that seed is going to be received is dependent upon the soil. And it first talks about one of the paths that people walk upon continuously. And if you're walking on something all the time, that path gets very hardened, and a lot of times you'll notice that there's nothing really growing on that path. So whenever the seed drops on that path, the bird is able to just come and take that seed off of the path, and it is not able to take root and grow. And then it talks about rocky soil. And anytime a farmer is going to go and plow up a field, he's going to take all the rocks out of that field first before he begins to plow it up, because those rocks keep the plants from being able to take root and grow. And then it talks about those people who have the thorns and the thistles and all. And they might receive the word, but then those cares of this life, they don't have a real wisdom over their priorities. And because of that, it just chokes out the word in their life. So what we want is that good soil that produces fruit, some 30, 60, 100-fold. This person hears the word, they welcome it, and then they produce fruit. In Romans 10, 14 through 17, it talks about how can they call on him they have not believed in, and how can they believe without hearing about him? And how can they hear without a preacher? And how can they preach unless they are sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news. But not all obeyed the gospel. For Isaiah says, "Lord, who has believed our message?" So faith comes from what is heard, and what is heard comes from the message about Christ. And in Matthew 9:8, Jesus goes on to say that the harvest is abundant, but the workers are few. So what we're looking for is someone who is going to encounter our family member that's going to have a word that that person needs to hear. I loved it. I found a set of books at the library one time. It was a Christian fiction books. And in these books, there were about 6 members of a family. And one of them got saved, but the rest of them were not saved. And all the books that were written was on the burden that she had for the different members of her family. And for each one of them, it began to hit me that it took something different to lead each one of them to the Lord, because all of us have a different stronghold in our mind. We have different things that we have built up that cause us to be resistant to the word when we hear it. And in each one of them, God encountered them in a very different way. So we want the right person to encounter our family members. That might be us, but it might be someone else. And we have to be willing for whoever it is that God sends across their path. He goes on to say in 2 Corinthians 10, 3 through 5, that for although we live in the flesh, we do not wage war according to the flesh, since the weapons of our warfare are not of the flesh, but they are powerful through God for the demolition of strongholds. We demolish arguments and every proud thing that is raised up against the knowledge of Christ, and we take every thought captive to obey Christ. So I saw this one day when I was praying. I was talking to the Lord about a member of my family that I did not believe was saved. And as I prayed, I saw this brick wall that was in my mind. And I had a hammer and a chisel. And I had it up there, and every time I was praying, that hammer was hitting that chisel, and it was breaking down the mortar that was between those bricks. And I said, Lord, what is it that I'm doing? And he said, those bricks are a stronghold, and that mortar holds it together. And when you pray, it loosens up that mortar, and it allows it so that when the truth hits that thing, it will cause it to fall. And in John 8:32, it says, you will know the truth, and the truth will set them free. So what we're wanting is for truth to come against that stronghold. So if we were going to formulate a declaration that we wanted to release over our family, it might look like this. Father, I just pray right now that you would pull back the powers of darkness that are over my family. I ask that you would shine the light of Jesus into their hearts. Plow up the stony areas of their heart, make it fertile ground for the word. I pray that you would send the perfect laborers of the harvest across their path with a message that will release the truth needed to shatter the strongholds that are over their life. I pray that they would be saved and that they would come to the knowledge of truth.